Nicolas Cage has had a famously wild love life, from multiple marriages to whirlwind flings, all with enough drama to rival his most chaotic film roles. His romantic history kept the tabloids fed for years, but recently, at 61, Cage got candid. He opened up and admitted there was one woman who meant more to him than all the rest. One woman he let slip through his fingers, simply because, back then, he didn't know better. He called her the love of his life. So who was this woman? And what made Nicolas Cage fall so hard for her? Let's get into it. Carving a path to greatness. You probably remember Nicolas Cage as the blazing anti-hero in Ghost Rider, where he torched the screen as Johnny Blaze, a stunt motorcyclist who literally sold his soul to save a loved one. That role didn't just light up the box office, it blew open the doors to even more high-octane, high-profile roles. But long before Cage was lighting up the screen as a supernatural vigilante, he was just a kid from Long Beach with a famous name and a burning dream. Born Nicholas Kim Coppola in Long Beach, California, he came from a family that was already neck-deep in Hollywood royalty. His father, August Coppola, was a literature professor, and his mother, Joy Vogelsang, was a dancer and choreographer. On his father's side, he was pure Italian-American, with his paternal grandparents being none other than composer Carmine Coppola and actress Italia Pennino. His maternal side brought a rich mix of German, Polish, English, and Scottish ancestry. But the real kicker? Nicholas was the nephew of legendary director Francis Ford Coppola and actress Talia Shire, making him cousins with an impressive lineup: Roman and Sofia Coppola, Giancarlo Coppola, and actors Robert and Jason Schwartzman. Despite this Hollywood bloodline, Cage wanted to make it on his own terms. He was the youngest of three brothers: Mark the Cope Coppola, a New York radio DJ, and Christopher Coppola, a director. Nicholas attended Beverly Hills High School, where future stars were practically baked into the curriculum. Even back then, acting was already in his sights. He later studied at UCLA's School of Theater, Film, and Television, but the real spark came early. He once said that seeing James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause and East of Eden hit him like a thunderbolt. "Nothing affected me, no rock song, no classical music, the way Dean affected me in Eden," Cage said. "It blew my mind. I was like, that's what I want to do." At just 15, he boldly told his uncle Francis Ford Coppola, "I'll show you acting." The response? Dead silence in the car. After all, Coppola had already worked with giants like Brando, Pacino, and De Niro. This was no family favor game. To shake off the weight of his famous last name and dodge accusations of nepotism, Nicholas reinvented himself. He chose Cage as a surname, inspired by Marvel's Luke Cage and avant-garde composer John Cage. With that, he stepped out of the Coppola shadow and carved a new path. His first shot was the 1981 TV pilot The Best of Times, which never made it past the pilot stage. But he didn't stop. In 1982, he made his film debut with a blink-and-you-miss-it role in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, a part he originally auditioned for more seriously, but which became a humbling experience. Cast members kept quoting his uncle's famous lines, a constant reminder of the shadow he was trying to escape. That only strengthened his resolve. Then came Valley Girl in 1983, his first leading role. Playing a moody punk who falls for a perky Valley Girl, Cage delivered a modern-day Romeo and Juliet tale that resonated with audiences. The film became a cult classic, and suddenly, people were taking notice. Around that time, he auditioned for the role of Dallas in The Outsiders, but lost out to Matt Dillon. Still, he landed a role in another S.E. Hinton adaptation, Rumblefish, directed by his uncle. He was slowly but surely finding his groove. In 1984, Cage took on 3 period films in quick succession. In Racing with the Moon, He starred alongside Sean Penn as two friends facing the looming reality of the Vietnam War. In The Cotton Club, he played a volatile mobster and earned praise for his menacing charisma. But it was Birdie that showcased his deep commitment to the craft. Cage reportedly had two of his front teeth pulled and shed weight for the role. Critics applauded his raw, emotionally charged performance, even though the film flopped commercially. The turning point came in 1987 with Moonstruck. Starring opposite Cher, Cage played Ronnie, a hot-blooded, opera-loving baker with a wooden hand and a volcanic temper. It was a quirky, passionate performance that captured hearts and critics alike. The film was a runaway hit, and Cage earned a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor. Roger Ebert would later say he believed Cage deserved an Oscar for that role. And just like that, Nicolas Cage was no longer the nephew of a legend. He was a star in his own right, blazing his own trail through Hollywood, one eccentric electric performance at a time. Beyond the accolades and iconic roles, Cage's personal life has been nothing short of eventful. Nicolas Cage's wild relationship history. When you think of Nicolas Cage, and let's be honest, who hasn't at some point gone down a rabbit hole of Cage-related chaos, a few legendary tales probably jump out at you, like the time he spent nearly $300,000 on a stolen dinosaur skull. Yes, stolen. Or how about the fact that he bought himself a pyramid to be buried in someday? That's right, a full-on, above-ground, New Orleans-style tomb shaped like a pyramid, just in case anyone forgot. He was Hollywood royalty, with a flair for the dramatic. But what you might not know about Nicolas Cage, the man who gave us pure cinematic adrenaline in Face Off, and deserved an Oscar for it, is that his love life could easily be a mini-series of its own. He's been married 5 times, and the last 3 wives were each more than 20 years younger than him. And if that sounds like typical Hollywood, just wait, because Cage's relationship history is even wilder than it looks at first glance. Let's rewind a bit. His romantic history includes some pretty big names. Cage was married to Patricia Arquette, known for her role in Medium, and to Lisa Marie Presley, the only daughter of Elvis Presley. That pairing alone, Cage and the King's Daughter, seemed like a match made in pop culture heaven. But their marriage was brief and stormy, lasting just over 100 days before the divorce papers were signed. Fast forward to today. Nicolas Cage is now married to Riko Shibata, his 5th wife, whom he wed in 2021. She was just 27 at the time, he was 57. Now, at 29, she remains mostly out of the limelight, living a quieter life than most of Cage's exes. And maybe that's for the best, considering the chaos that surrounds most things attached to Cage's name. But Cage wasn't always about serious relationships. In the late 1980s, he was linked to Brooke Shields, the Blue Lagoon star. The two were seen attending the 1987 premiere of Moonstruck at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, looking like a couple straight out of a fashion ad, both dressed in sleek black and white looks, grinning for the cameras. While neither confirmed the romance, the chemistry was hard to miss. As for how long that spark lasted, that's still a Hollywood mystery. Less than a year later, in 1988, Cage was spotted with actress Ami Dolenz at the And God Created Woman premiere in LA. He wore a shiny silver suit with a navy shirt, and she turned heads in a brightly colored vest over a red dress. A bold pair for a bold night. Their relationship, like many of Cage's, didn't last long, but it added to his growing rep as an unpredictable heartthrob. That same year, things took a more serious turn when Cage began dating Christina Fulton. This relationship is by far one of Cage's most widely unpredictable relationships. By 1990, the couple welcomed their son, Weston Coppola Cage. The relationship didn't survive much longer after Weston's birth. The two never married and broke up soon after, but the aftermath would haunt them both for years. Fast forward to July 2024, and Weston, now 33, found himself in the headlines after being arrested for allegedly assaulting his mother during what was described as a severe mental health crisis. According to the LAPD, the confrontation happened on April 28th. Fulton later issued a gut-wrenching statement saying she had rushed to help her son after being contacted by his friends, who were worried about his deteriorating state. She explained that when she arrived to offer support and console him, he was already in the midst of a manic rage. Within minutes, she was brutally assaulted and sustained serious injuries. She added that she begged police to detain Weston for psychiatric evaluation, but they refused. As a mother, Fulton said she was deeply saddened and concerned about Weston's ongoing mental health crisis, urging for her son to receive proper help. The LAPD later confirmed Weston was booked for assault with a deadly weapon after allegedly punching 2 victims multiple times. He turned himself in and was arrested at the LAPD's 77th Division. His case was submitted to the District Attorney's Office, which filed 2 felony counts of assault with a deadly weapon. Weston was released after posting $150,000 bail, and reports suggest it was his father, Nicolas Cage, who bailed him out. But sadly, this wasn't Weston's first run-in with the law. In 2017, he was arrested for DUI and hit and run after a chaotic night that ended with his car wrapped around a tree. Authorities said he hit parked cars, mailboxes, and street signs on his destructive joyride. After being hospitalized, he was arrested on $30,000 bail. In 2011, Weston was again in the news after a domestic dispute with his ex-wife, Nikki Williams. That same year, he was hospitalized under a psychiatric hold after another violent incident in Los Angeles. His mother, Christina Fulton, placed the blame squarely on Cage, telling Inside Edition that Nicolas Cage had damaged and interfered and done something absolutely horrific. She insisted that she was the one who raised Weston while his dad was very busy out working as an actor. Behind the movie star image, Nicolas Cage's life has been riddled with heartbreak, controversy, and bizarre twists. From pyramid tombs to dinosaur skulls, from legendary performances to family tragedies, Cage remains one of the most complicated figures in Hollywood. His life hasn't just been dramatic, it's been cinematic. Nicolas Cage's marriages. But let's rewind to 1990. At the Wild at Heart premiere in Century City, Cage didn't just show up, he made a statement. On his arm, actress Lisa Stothard, now 61, the brunette beauty who turned heads in a little black dress. The couple walked the red carpet hand in hand, basking in the flashes of cameras and the heat of early romance. Cage, looking every inch the rising star in a navy silk suit, was all smiles beside her. It was a classic Hollywood moment, glamorous, effortless, and gone almost as quickly as it appeared. By 1992, Cage was dating again, this time 19-year-old model Kristen Zhang, now 50. He was 29, wildly famous, and completely swept up in the kind of relationship only 90s Hollywood could dream up. He proposed. She said yes, and for 2 years they played the part. Red carpets, flashbulbs, and glimmering events like the Golden Globes and the Hard Rock Cafe opening. But soon, the engagement fizzled like a dying sparkler. By 1995, the magic had faded. The two were seen together one last time. A glamorous couple who once danced at the center of the spotlight, now moving in separate directions. But Cage didn't stay heartbroken for long. In April 1995, he married actress Patricia Arquette, now 56, a love story that had already begun a decade earlier. The origin? Wild. According to Arquette, Cage proposed the day they met. She was just 18 at the time. The proposal didn't take place back then, but like any good Hollywood drama, the two reconnected 10 years later. She was 27 when they finally tied the knot. Their 6-year marriage ended in divorce in May 2001, but rumors swirled that the romance actually cracked just 9 months in, and that they simply kept the split quiet. Patricia didn't buy into the gossip. Speaking to The Telegraph, she explained that there were times when they weren't living together because they were fighting, but it wasn't as reported, and she didn't feel the need to explain that. She said there were times when her mom was dying, and she was living with her, taking care of her, and times when Cage was away working on a movie. It was their thing. She added sharply that she still didn't feel like she owed anyone an explanation, finding it funny when people were so wrong and put her in a position to decide who she was. And just like that, the credits rolled on wife number 1. Then came the most headline-grabbing union of them all, Lisa Marie Presley. The only daughter of Elvis, she was Hollywood royalty. In August 2002, on the 25th anniversary of her father's death, Cage and Lisa Marie tied the knot in secret during a ceremony in Hawaii. It was iconic, surreal, and short-lived. Their marriage lasted just over 100 days. Speaking to The Guardian, Cage described their relationship with surprising simplicity, saying that it was really based on humor and that they had a lot of laughs together. He explained that much was made about it because of her father and whatnot, but in his opinion, they had a simple relationship. He added that it was a different time in his life, many lifetimes ago. Lisa Marie, however, gave the relationship the blockbuster dialogue it deserved in a 2003 Rolling Stone interview, saying they were both so dramatic and dynamic that when it was good, it was unbelievably good, and when it was bad, it was a bloody nightmare for everybody. She described it as Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, a ride that came to a tragic, quiet end decades later. On January 12, 2023, Lisa Marie Presley passed away at the age of 54 after suffering cardiac arrest in her Calabasas home. The official autopsy revealed the cause, a small bowel obstruction linked to a recent bariatric surgery. In July 2004, Cage took yet another unexpected turn. While dining at a Los Angeles restaurant, he met waitress Alice Kim, a then 20-year-old beauty with no Hollywood pedigree, no famous lineage, and no script behind her smile. And yet, 2 months later, Cage and Alice were husband and wife. Just like that. Their whirlwind romance led to the birth of their son, Kal-El, named naturally after Superman, who is now 19. Cage, a longtime comic book enthusiast, didn't just name his child after the Man of Steel. He lived it. A Hollywood titan marrying a civilian? That's practically a Clark Kent origin story. But behind the fairy tale was friction. There was a 20-year age gap between Nicholas and Alice, and from the start, not everyone was thrilled about it. Cage once revealed that when Alice's Korean mother first visited their home, she skipped all pleasantries, and her first words were that Alice was too young. That, Cage admitted, was his wake-up call, and he knew it was going to be an uphill battle. Despite the odds, their marriage endured for a while. They traveled the world, raised their son, and blended cultures. Cage said he had made a very clear decision to marry out of his own zip code, way out of his own zip code, explaining that he had married into another culture. He added it was interesting because in Korea, they called him the son-in-law. Their wedding was even expedited, so Alice could accompany him to South Africa while he filmed Lord of War. Cage explained that they did it because they loved each other. But after 11 years of marriage in 2016, the fairy tale cracked. The separation blindsided Cage, who told The Guardian it was a shocker for him and that he definitely hadn't seen it coming. Still, he held no grudge, saying that she was quite young when he married her, and he didn't really have any ill will towards what happened. That was all he would say. Enter Erica Koika. If Cage's previous marriages were unconventional, this one was off the rails. On March 23, 2019, Cage married makeup artist Erica Koike. She was 34 at the time, in a spontaneous Vegas ceremony that would soon become infamous. The wedding wasn't so much impulsive as it was chaotic. Just 4 days later, Cage filed for an annulment, claiming he was too intoxicated to understand what he was doing. The situation, already explosive, was made worse by the fact that Koike allegedly hadn't disclosed the full nature and extent of her relationship with another person. And the receipts? Oh, they exist. Video footage captured at the Las Vegas courthouse showed a disheveled Cage ranting, "She is going to take all my money," and "her ex is a druggie," while Erica pleaded, "Baby, I am not asking you to do this." According to the blast, Cage's lawyers made the actor's state of mind crystal clear. Prior to obtaining a marriage license and participating in a marriage ceremony, Cage and Koike were both drinking to the point of intoxication. And it didn't end there. The official legal documents described how Cage, as a result of his intoxication, acted on impulse and without the ability to recognize or understand the full impact of his actions. Worse yet, Cage claimed Koike had withheld her criminal history, including additional active criminal proceedings. The marriage was already broken before the ink dried. Just hours after tying the knot, the couple was seen in a screaming match outside a Las Vegas casino. The honeymoon phase didn't even last a day. What began with a drunken license application and a rushed ceremony ended in public chaos and eventual dissolution. By July 2020, the marriage was legally over. Cage was officially granted a divorce, and the whirlwind was done, at least for now. Who is the love of Nicolas Cage's life? He's been married 5 times, played everything from action heroes to existential misfits, and lived a life louder than any of his films. But Nicolas Cage, now 61, insists that his 5th wife, Rico Shibata, is the love of his life. And yes, it all started with a FaceTime proposal. The Oscar-winning actor first met Rico in Japan back in 2020 while he was filming Sion Sono's surreal sci-fi horror Prisoners of the Ghost Land. The connection was instant. They were introduced through mutual friends, but it was anything but conventional. When Rico, a Kyoto native, returned home and Cage flew back to Nevada, the long-distance lovers spent 6 months apart, tethered only by late-night calls and glowing phone screens. "I finally just said, 'Look, I want to marry you,'" Cage recalled during a candid interview on his brother Mark Coppola's radio show. And with that, a FaceTime engagement was sealed. Not with a standard diamond, but a custom-designed black diamond ring, delivered to Rico by FedEx. Her favorite color is black, Cage said, so she wanted black gold and the black diamond. I customized and personalized it. And that was only the beginning of their love story. In February 2021, Cage and Shibata tied the knot in an intimate wedding at the luxurious Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas. But this wasn't your typical Vegas elopement. The date was carefully chosen to honor the birthday of Cage's late father, and the ceremony was a poetic blend of traditions and emotion. Rico wore a handcrafted black Japanese bridal kimono from Kyoto, intricately layered in 3 parts. She walked down the aisle to Winter Song by Kiroro, her favorite tune, and exchanged vows that mixed Catholic and Shinto rituals with poetry from Walt Whitman and delicate haiku woven in, a cultural symphony befitting Cage's own theatrical soul. The ceremony was intimate but rich with meaning. Among the guests was Alice Kim, Cage's 3rd wife and now close friend, who attended alongside their son, Kal-El. "It's true, and we are very happy," Cage confirmed to DailyMail.com shortly after the ceremony. According to official Nevada records, Rico took Cage's surname and became Rico Cage. The license was filed on January 10th, her 26th birthday, marking not just her first marriage, but the beginning of a new chapter with the man she met halfway across the world. In 2022, the couple welcomed their daughter, August Francesca Cage, now 2. The name, like so much in Cage's life, is both classic and dramatic, hinting at a story yet to be written. And for the actor who has known chaos, controversy, and combustive love stories, this latest role, doting father and smitten husband, seems to be the one he cherishes most. Despite the 31-year age gap between him and Rico, who is also 4 years younger than Cage's eldest son Weston, the actor has spoken openly about how grounded and joyful his life has become since their union. Earlier this year, Cage reflected on fatherhood in an interview with The New Yorker. "They're all different experiences. Each one has a different mother," he said of his 3 children. "It's not what I had originally thought would happen when I fell in love or got married, that I would have 3 different children with 3 different moms, but nonetheless, that's what's happened." But there's no question where his heart now lies. In a life filled with spectacle, it's Rico, the woman he proposed to over FaceTime, the bride who wore black, the mother of his youngest child, who has brought something rare and enduring to the Nicolas Cage story: peace. And although Cage now has some normalcy in his life, it wasn't always like this. Nicolas Cage's biggest troubles. In 2011, Nicolas Cage was arrested in New Orleans for domestic abuse and disturbing the peace following a public argument with his wife, Alice Kim. It was yet another chapter in a long line of personal and financial troubles that had followed the actor over the years. A pattern that blended fame, fortune, and fallout in equal measure. Despite once being one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors, earning an estimated $40 million in 2009 alone, Cage found himself tangled in debt. By the end of that year, the IRS had placed tax liens on multiple properties, claiming he owed over $6.2 million in unpaid taxes from 2007, along with $350,000 from previous years. Altogether, Cage later admitted he had accumulated $14 million in tax debt. His financial troubles weren't limited to taxes. Cage filed a $20 million lawsuit against his business manager, Samuel Levin, accusing him of mismanagement. Levin responded by claiming Cage had ignored repeated warnings about his spending. Those spending habits had become infamous. At one point, Cage owned 15 homes, including a haunted mansion in New Orleans, 2 European castles, and a beachfront property in Rhode Island. He also purchased a private island in the Bahamas, a dinosaur skull that he later had to return to the Mongolian government, 30 to 50 rare cars, a collection of exotic animals, and even shrunken heads. In 1997, he paid nearly $500,000 for a rare Lamborghini, breaking an auction record. An associate who worked closely with Cage at the time described him as clueless about money, not out of arrogance, but detachment. He had, after all, been wealthy since he was a teenager, and lived in a reality far removed from most. Eventually, the consequences caught up. Cage lost several properties to foreclosure, including 2 homes in New Orleans, a Bel Air mansion once owned by Dean Martin, and another in Las Vegas. His personal life was just as turbulent. In addition to the New Orleans arrest, Cage was being sued by ex-girlfriend Christina Fulton, the mother of his son Weston, who accused him of emotional, physical, and mental abuse. Fulton also claimed Cage had purchased a home for her in 2001 but never transferred ownership, leaving her unable to sell it. His representatives dismissed the lawsuit as absurd. Through all of it, Cage never filed for bankruptcy. Speaking to 60 Minutes, he explained how the crash of the real estate market left him overexposed, saying he was overinvested and unable to get out in time. The debt, he revealed, totaled about $6 million, and he insisted he paid every dollar back through relentless work. Even when those projects landed straight on video shelves, Cage threw himself into them. Booking roles became the only way to survive the financial collapse. He described work as his guardian angel. Regardless of the film's quality, he always showed up. In an interview with GQ, Cage reflected on the sheer volume of work he took on during that time. Sometimes 4 films a year, and admitted not all were good, but none were phoned in. He needed the roles to stay afloat, but also felt an obligation to give everything, every time. Looking back, the headlines, the arrests, the debt, the dinosaur skulls don't tell the full story. What do you think about Nicolas Cage's wild dating history? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click on the next video that pops up. You won't want to miss it.